a wonderful thing it is to be out, because the lockdown is just starting to ease, and I've driven to Birmingham and come off the motorway and down a suburban street and been taken completely by surprise because there was a sign on the right that said RSPB Reserve, and walked through an unpromising barrier and into an area of greenery, the Sandwell Valley, with the river running past me on the left and definite signs of spring. The birds are in good voice and the buds are coming out, and we're here to meet a really talented young musician. Germa Adan was born in Haiti and then moved to the United States as a child with her parents. And she came to the UK to study music. And now she's become a rising star on the folk scene with a much acclaimed first album and a second album that she's been working on during lockdown. And I think she's going to share at least one of the songs from that with us on our walk today. So we're really looking forward to meeting Germa here in the Sandwell Valley. Germa, good afternoon. How nice to see you.
Good afternoon, Matthew.
Thank you for coming to show us around the Sandwell Valley.
Yes.
Well, tell us about this place.
Well, I don't know about the history of this place, but this is my second home. I come here almost twice a week, especially during lockdown. It's where I come to do lots of meditation, walking, exercising, and just existing in a calm, peaceful environment, yeah.
And there's a river running past us here. What's the terrain like as we go forward onto the walk? What are we going to walk through?
It's quite hilly here, so prepare yourself. A bit of mud, lots of bird life, some parakeets to look forward to as well.
Okay, now you've brought some instruments. You've got the fiddle, and I see in your bag you've got the ukulele as well.
Yes.
And I think in the car you've got your guitar, haven't you?
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. So we can have all sorts of different instrumentation. Have you got a song on the fiddle that you'd like to do for us here?
I'd love to get us started with a song.
Okay, yeah, let's get the fiddle out.
Okay.
Is this a very special instrument?
It is actually. It's not your normal fiddle. When I first started singing and playing with the violin, the high pitch range of the normal violin or fiddle was just getting in the way of the singing. So Helicore, a brand, created this like low octave strings for violin, and I had it fitted. So now it's like a bass violin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So violin normally would have a top E string. Does that have a different?
It's the strings are the same.
Yeah.
But they're low octave.
Right. And do you use the violin in lots of different ways?
Yes, I do actually. Sometimes I brush and play with it. I might do a bit of that first before I get into the song. I'll actually get my brush out for you. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's like the kind of a paintbrush.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, sometimes I mess about and I sing and brush at the same time.
Oh, right.
I'm still working on it, but I could do a little.
Like there's a different texture to the sound.
Yeah. Like a more low level texture, so I can sing above it. There's a Haitian folk artist called Jean-Steve Bounache, and he has a song called Lignon. And I'm gonna just play a short excerpt from that. It's a song about just gathering. Since we're all gathering here, I thought I'd start with that. Mettons pour s'entendre, rassembler au souple, que l'automne séparé, tant pis ferme jeune racine. Mettons pour s'entendre, rassembler au souple, que l'automne séparé, tant pis ferme jeune racine. Oh yo 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 yo, oh.
How wonderful. That is wonderful. Whatever gave you the idea of brushing a violin? It's not, I've played the fiddle before, but I've never thought of using a paintbrush on it.
I wanted to be able to sing and play at the same time without, and have like different textures and attacks on the notes. And so I just thought, what's lighter approach than the bow? And that's when this idea came to
And I suppose
mind.
it's got hair, hasn't it, like the bow,
Exactement.
but in a different form.
Exactement, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the beginning of that. We'll see what happens. I might try thicker brushes. Still exploring it, yeah.
Now, is there anything else you want to do with the fiddle before we leave it behind? 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
would you play us some
Yeah.
fiddle music?
Yeah, sure.
What is this?
This is Going Home.
Right. Is it one of your own songs?
Yep. So this song, Going Home, is a song, I wrote the words to it before lockdown and actually had some arrangement for it. Had to go at playing it. It didn't quite settle yet. So I didn't bring it out to the world until now in lockdown, and I've had a chance to really sit with it, work on it, and I say more just play it in a way that if it really sits within me, and it's a comfort to me, especially during this time that we are in, where we are actually home, but I'm sure many of us would like to be in other places.
And when you say going home, what does that mean to you?
Going home is where I choose home to be. Like right now, home is right here in Sandwell Valley, just feeling present. Yeah, that's what home is, being present. going home. To wash my blues away. To wash my blues away.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I noticed that you hold your bow quite a long way up.
Yeah.
You know, about a third of the way up the bow, you're almost holding it. Why do you do that? Does it give you more control? Or?
It naturally happened. It feels lighter. I have more flexibility, especially when I'm doing lots of fiddling about as I'm singing. So I think it's heavier down here while I'm playing and singing, and I want to keep the sound quite low in volume as well. I think that helps with that. Yeah.
So you're obviously experimenting the whole time with the instrument and how it might be used. Do you sometimes pluck it as well and use it like a sideways like a guitar? And
yeah, it's sometimes like this way, but I actually try and pluck this way when I sing.
more like pizzicato.
Yeah, pizzicato style. Yeah, you're a fiddle player yourself, no?
Well, I would, in your presence, I wouldn't really say so, but you know, for my own entertainment, sometimes I play. But I don't use it in this really versatile way, and I think maybe I should try some new techniques.
I'll send you a brush.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Do you want to put the fiddle away now, and then we'll get going on our walk? Would you like me to carry something?
All right, go on then.
Yeah, shall I carry the guitar?
Go on for the guitar.
I've carried lots of guitars for lots of musicians.
I've worked up a sweat now. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate it.
Which way are we going to walk?
This way.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Germa, I'm interested to learn a little bit about your history, because you were born in Haiti, and how long did you live there?
I lived there until 1994. We moved to America.
What age were you then?
I was about 8 years old.
Right. So, what are your memories of Haiti? Do you have any memories of it?
I do actually. Quite vivid memories of growing up on my father's plantation farm with lots of animals, growing different crops.
What sort of crops did you
harvesting peas, corn, like root vegetables, like yams, mayok. What's mayok in English again?
I don't know.
Yuca.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And was there any music in those early days?
Yes, there was. I grew up in a very musical family, led by my dad, who's also a musician. He played the guitar, and he'd teach us songs, and he was also in a band, had his own band.
What sort of band was it?
It was sort of like a Haitian roots folk meets potentially pop with some spiritual elements to it as well.
And did you, as a little girl, used to go to the gigs?
Yes, used to see rehearsals happening at home all the time. It was a natural part of our lives, and actually my dad tried to teach me to play the guitar.
How did that go?
Didn't go well.
Is that like teaching your daughter to drive?
Literally that. Yeah, you get someone else to do it.
So did you pick up the guitar quite early on?
No.
No.
I resisted, and I loved music. And when we were living in the States, I tried to do clarinet for a bit in like elementary school. It didn't go very well. When we moved to Florida, I had the opportunity to do the violin, and that stuck. And it was a match made for life.
And so, just tell me about the move from Haiti to the United States. Were you frightened, or were you just sort of taken along with it and you thought, oh, this is all fine?
Yeah, taken along with it. This is fine. And we moved to Minnesota first. Then we moved to Kansas City. And then we eventually moved to Florida. I lived in Florida for quite a while.
And so, did you mind the moving around, or was it difficult for you to settle and make friends, or did you just take it in your stride?
Take it in our stride. We were all a bit sad when we had to move from Kansas City to Florida. but the heat was calling to my parents, and they wanted to be closer to so they can travel to Haiti as well, from Florida.
To go back to see family
Exactly,
and friends and so on. Yeah,
that's it.
I understand. So you settled in Florida, and that was where your musical education started?
Yes, that's when I had middle school, where I picked up the violin.
So you were learning classical violin at that time?
Yeah, learning to play the classical violin, yeah. And then I went on to high school in Florida, where it was like a performing arts high school. So I got to do loads of ensemble performance on the violin. So it was all still classically trained.
Well, look at this. I just wanted to take a moment to turn to the left here. We'll go back to your story in a second.
Yeah. Let's have a look at
There's
this.
a great spot for looking out over the water here and spotting the birds. I can hear geese. Can you hear geese?
Yeah.
And the wood here is carved into the shapes of birds and animals, and you can just look over the fence and see some expanses of water and reed beds stretching out. What a wonderful sight that is, isn't it? Do you know about birds?
I like looking at them.
We had the same experience with the guitarist John Smith on the cliffs at Brixham in Devon, and this bird went past, and I said, "What's that?" He said, "I don't know, but it flies."
Are you a bird watcher?
Not really. No, I love watching them. I love seeing them, and I live near a RSPB reserve like this, so I go walking. But I need to get my book out to identify things.
I'd love to go for a walk with an actual bird watcher who knows all the names.
Well, we did an amazing podcast with Sam Lee.
Oh, really?
And
Yes.
we went to his Singing with Nightingales event, and he brought an ornithologist along, and who at dusk took us into the woods and then pointed out the calls of the different birds that we were hearing, which was fantastic. But of course, I can't remember any of them. What a beautiful sight, though. I know there are Folk on Foot listeners who understand this kind of thing and know about birds, and they'll write in and tell us what these calls are, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say that might be a Canada goose. Did you still stay in touch with your Haitian roots during that time in the States, and indeed to this day? Did your parents keep you in touch with it?
Yes. Fortunately, as soon as we moved to the States, they were very insistent that we couldn't speak English in the house. We were told. So we're coming home from school, and testing our English, and we were told, nope, no English in the house.
You had to speak Creole.
Yeah. Speak Creole in the house, so we wouldn't forget our language. We were very sheltered. I didn't know anything about rock music until I'd say about late high school, early undergraduate, especially in my undergraduate. My roommate said, "We're going to educate you about rock, Germa."
How did they start doing that?
Just giving me CDs and a list of people to go and listen to. But on top of that, though, I was doing my own bit of research. Since I was in high school, we had local libraries with CDs. So I actually was really into jazz and lots of world music in high school. So I was listening to stuff that my peers weren't really listening to, and I kept that quiet.
You kept that quiet from your peers or from your parents?
All of the above.
Do you think your mum and dad might have objected? They didn't want you going in that direction?
Well, they didn't like us listening to too much popular stuff. It was a very sheltered house in that they wanted us to be linked to gospel music and Haitian gospel music as well. Ready to duck?
Yeah, we're going under the fence. Yeah. Hang on a minute.
I'll pass the.
So we pass that through. Pass the guitar through.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you know what? I wonder if this isn't a place for you to sing as a song.
Ooh.
What do you think? Would you be up for that?
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it.
What would you like to sing for us?
Shall we try Lark in the Morning?
That would be great.
Yeah? The lark in the morning, he rises from her nest. He launched into the air with the dew on her breast. Was down in yonder meadow, I carelessly did stray, where there's no one like the ploughboy in the merry month of May. Cuckoo-dee-coo. Ooh, cuckoo-dee-coo. Ooh. When his day's work's over, and then what will he do? He'll fly into the country his wake to go to, and with his pretty sweetheart he'll whistle and he'll sing, and at night he will return to his old home again. Cuckoo-dee-coo, ooh, cuckoo-dee-coo, ooh. So here's our luck to plowboys wherever they may be. They'll take a winsome lass to sit upon their knee, and with their jug of beer, boys, they'll whistle and they'll sing, for a plowboy is as happy as a prince or a king. Cuckoo-dee-coo, ooh, cuckoo-dee-coo, ooh. Cuckoo-dee-coo, 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 cuckoo-dee-coo.
It seems quite appropriate, doesn't it, with the birds singing around us to sing that song. Your finger's cold.
Cold.
So why that song? What was it that made you want to tackle that song?
I had this seed funding with EFDSS, and I had
The English Folk Song and Dance Society.
yes.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to be in the Vaughan Williams Library, and I got a chance to sit in front of some fantastic literature, songs from a long time ago, and I was fascinated by how certain songs traveled around and how different regions in England would have the same song, but they might sing it differently, or they might title it differently. How one song might be played differently, but have similar motion of the notes. So I found Lark in the Morning. I was reading about it, and I wanted to respond to it. But I told myself not to listen to anyone's version, because I didn't like. I listened to it later, and I didn't realize it was a jolly song.
Well, you thought it was a sad song.
Yeah. Well, I was like, let me just read the words to this song and what it's about, and I was just like, my response to it was, well, there's not a lot of folk songs with a female narrative where it's from the female perspective. And I felt like the female's story in this is lost. As I was leafing through lots of books of old songs, a lot of them were just like how, I had this maiden here and I had this maiden there. I had this maiden everywhere.
There's a lot of it about, isn't there, in folk song?
And there was I was like, where's this song from the female perspective? I found ones where it was just like about a woman who's scorned, she's angry. The maiden that was talked about in these songs didn't have a voice, so I thought, let me do my version of this song and see if a melody would come to mind, and that's how this song came about. Yeah, to give the voice to the maiden in the song, essentially.
So you've taken it in your direction, in the way that so many people did in the past. You're adding to the tradition, really, aren't you?
That's it, yeah.
A new version.
That's it.
It's
yeah.
very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we were talking about the fact that you were listening to jazz, to rock music in secret. You were a secret rock music listener.
Yes.
So that was your act of rebellion.
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of rock music did you get into, or jazz music did you get into?
I got into jazz more. I listened to a lot of Charlie Parker, Robert Glasper.
What effect did that have on you? On your
Regina
own...
Carter, the jazz violinist. Yes.
And that presumably was an inspiration.
Huge, especially, growing up at that time, I didn't see any violinists that looked like me that were out there at the time. And when you looked at orchestras, there was not much representation.
They were all white.
That's it. So I was like, look what she's doing. And then I found this group called the Iden Reichelt Project in my public library. And they were like this world music band. I don't know if you've heard of them. It was a random find, and really liked their stuff. So I was just like, this is cool. This is not music I hear out there. And I'm like, I'd love to see what I could do if I put my mind to it, kind of thing. Yeah.
And were you playing in public at this time in this kind of music, or were you just doing the classical stuff?
I did classical until I finished my master's in York.
Right, so you came to York University to study music. So that's a great course at York University, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had Kerry Andrew on here, and she's a graduate of York University.
Excellent.
And so were you exposed there to all sorts of different musical influences?
Yes, I was exposed to lots of performers that were coming in as well when they had their concert series. So I got to see some folk bands, and they had the early music association.
So how was your own musical style shaping up as you graduated, as you left university? What was your performance style?
Well, during my time at my undergrad and my master's, I was exploring composition. My composition style was very jazz influenced, actually, more jazz influenced than anything. My Haitian roots hadn't quite gotten in there yet. Only, I'd say it was quite subtle. And I was not singing as well. So singing never actually took place as a main thing I did until I graduated.
Right, so that started to come in later.
Yeah, when 2011, there was a recession, and I bought this ukulele, and I was just like, where's the jobs? What am I doing? And I just started exploring. I felt like there was less pressure to be this technically able violinist doing all. You know how like most violinists who finish with the classical training, you practice excerpts to get into orchestras, and I was just like,
You didn't want to do that.
I didn't want to do that. But it was having to be quite rigid in just playing these excerpts to get into orchestras, and that would just be my life. I just thought there's got to be more to it than this.
And so the ukulele was a sign of loosening up a bit.
Yes.
Yeah? Letting your hair down.
Exactly. It was when I picked up the ukulele, I started just writing stuff, singing with the ukulele, and I just thought, oh, yeah, singing.
That suddenly came to you.
Yeah, I can sing stuff.
And you can write stuff. And,
yeah.
And was that when your Haitian influences started to come to the fore again?
That's it, yeah. I was looking at lots of Haitian literature, Haitian linguists, and developed a love of a specific Haitian linguist called Emmanuel Vandrine. After that, I just really got in touch with writing lyrics in Haitian Creole as well. And I think the overall aim for me at that time and today is that I just want to write music that I want to hear on the radio that isn't just what English and it fits a specific popular style. I just wanted to hear something that I might want to hear. So I think that was what I was leading with.
So how did the Haitian influences manifest themselves in the music that you were making?
So it took form in maybe how I did a guitar accompaniment style. There's certain accompaniment styles that are very well known amongst Haitian troubadours, which are usually like a man and a guitar singing ballad. That's what a troubadour is. And that originated from Haitian workers in Cuba or anyone who's working in the field who might want to play the guitar. And the troubadour would usually be someone who's just singing and accompanying to love songs or songs about what they see. So the accompaniment style is a unique element of the Haitian style that I use.
And would that be how your dad played the guitar?
Yes, actually, yeah. He definitely influenced me without realizing. Yeah, it's come full circle.
And the other influences are in the way you write the lyrics, presumably. In
Yes.
The lyrics and the kind of subject matter, perhaps, as well?
Yes, the subject matter, revealing what we see in our songs or commenting on any injustice. That's quite huge in Haitian racine, so Haitian root style music. So they have bands like Boukma Experience from Haiti, who are known for writing songs about reconnecting with our roots and observing what is around us and, resisting anything that, isn't aligned with who we are.
You mentioned about songs that deal with injustice, and I think you have been inspired in the last year by an injustice and by something that happened to write one of your new songs. Would you tell us about that?
Before the George Floyd incident, this song was influenced by many incidents in the States of police brutality that took place. And when the George Floyd incident took place, it just solidified that this is something that needs to stop. And I was quite emotionally affected by it, and it took me a while to actually get back into playing.
Really?
Yeah, because I was just in that fed up state with it. Because I've had family members affected by police brutality or intimidation back when we lived in the States. So for me, it was quite personal as well. So when I was able to get back to playing again, I arranged the words to the song as my sort of response to what happened and my own processing of the trauma that I've been through and my family has been through, being exposed to this on a regular basis. It's quite regular in the States.
So what you had people who were beaten up by the police, or
Just unfairly arrested, and pressure applied on them unfairly, unnecessarily as well.
physical pressure.
Physical pressure, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you process that by putting it in the song.
Yes.
Gemma, thank you. I must say, it was an overwhelming feeling of sadness in listening to that. I mean, some people might have responded with anger to some of the things you've been talking about, but you chose sadness. Why was that, do you think?
I'd say there's sadness in there, but there's also like a showing of the wound for all to see, like an open casket kind of thing to it as well, where you need to see it.
Did it take a long time for that song to develop?
Yes, it did, yeah. And I think it's still developing. I might perform it in a different way, as and when, yeah.
So have you been doing a lot of writing during the lockdown?
Yes, well, bits of writing, developing things that I've already had. As I was meant to be releasing an album in 2020, and the whole recording process got delayed. So now I've had more time to just develop.
And has the album changed completely in that time?
I'd say yes, definitely. But like the overall theme of it hasn't.
Which is what?
I'm exploring the theme of borderlines and bloodlines. After me and my family, we looked into our ancestry DNA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what does that show you?
Well, I've got lots of links to Nigeria, Senegal, Cameroon, Scandinavia.
Scandinavia?
Yes. I think there was Ireland in there. Scottish even.
And how did you react to finding that out? What effect did that have on you?
Well, it was inspiring. It just got me really interested in looking into our origins a bit more, and especially our African origins. It got me writing differently as well, and looking at African texts, African instruments.
I think you collaborated with a kora player, didn't you?
Yes, and that is
which is the West African harp.
Kadiari Kuyate. We worked on 2 songs together that will be in the album, and that was to get in touch with my Senegalese side as well. But I would say the overall Haitian roots are still in there, but we're looking at it in a different way. Yeah.
So it seems like you're a melting pot, if you like, of all these very different influences coming together, and then creating from them something unique.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, I think it's still growing. It's just based on where I am. So if you plant me somewhere else, it might just be different as well. Yeah. There's a song I called Wildflower that I wrote a long time ago when I first started gigging. And the words to the song was written by the Haitian poet, linguist Emmanuel Vandrine. And it's a song about nature and how he uses like double entendres to describe love. And when I came here, it just made me want to just produce the song and put it out there. As a dry land, waiting for the rain, you are the dew that can water me. As a thirsty camel walking many kilometers in a desert, you are an oasis. Oh, sunflower without a garden, garden without jasmine, honeybees without hives, flying into the spring season. Why don't you buzz in my flower that sits just by the road? Why do you refuse to bloom in my garden? Can't you see how much you are to me? Oh, sunflower without a garden, garden without jasmine, honeybees without hives, flying into the spring season. Try and think of something indispensable. Multiply it by 1,000. And I, the product, to the feeling of love you never had in your life. To the feeling of love you never had in your life. To the feeling of love you never had in your life. To the feeling of love you never had in your life. Oh, sunflower without a garden, garden without jasmine, honeybees without hives, flying into the spring season.
That is so appropriate to be sung right here in the spring, because everything is bursting out around us. It's quite cold today, but everything is coming out around us. The birds are really getting going, aren't they? And the blossoms coming out on the boughs. So thank you. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your music with us and for showing us the Sandwell Valley.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Germa Adan in the Sandwell Valley. And I have to tell you that we have filmed all the songs that Germa performed during our walk. And if you want to see them, they're going to be part of our Folk on Foot on Film archive, which is only available to our subscribers, our Folk on Foot heroes, who give us £10 a month to keep the podcast going. So if you want to sign up and see that film archive with more than 100 songs from all the walks that we've been involved in, well, all you have to do is go to folkonfoot.com/watch, and you can sign up there. It's absolutely brilliant. And it also, by the way, has all the sets from the Folk on Foot festivals, and you can search it by artist to find your favourites. So you'll see Germa's films and the films of lots of people we've walked with. folkonfoot.com/watch. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. There are now more than 40 episodes of Folk on Foot for you to enjoy. Please have a listen.